This week's WWE Smackdown was one of the weakest shows in about the last 12 months, with some baffling decisions not covered by some good quality wrestling. With changes to the WrestleMania card and news on releases in WWE, I'm Tom Colohue and this is your Smackdown review. Please do remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't, and let's jump in. The show opened with the arrival of Edge, who's been missing for a couple of weeks, but his promo was very quickly interrupted by Daniel Bryan, as is the way in WWE to interrupt everything that anyone ever says. Edge and Bryan feel like they're currently feuding, but they're actually not, and essentially they engaged in a dick measuring contest in the middle of the ring to open the show. It made Edge seem even less likeable than he has seemed over the past few weeks. We opened the wrestling for the evening with Dominic and Rey Mysterio teaming with the Street Profits against the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, and the Alpha Academy, that being Chad Gable and Otis. Yes, you've heard that right, Dolph Ziggler and Otis, who apparently hate each other, were fine to be on a tag team. This was a high quality match with high tempo wrestling, keeping everyone in action, and a good length for the match as well. The match also went to a clean finish when Montez Ford hit his big splash on Robert Roode. This is of course building to a rematch between the two teams for the WWE Smackdown Tag Team Championships. I expect that to come at Fastlane. Throughout the night we saw Jey Uso backstage, essentially avoiding Roman Reigns. He was shown trying to talk to Roman, but Paul Heyman steered him away. He was also shown later on in an encounter with Edge, which was probably the best promo that Edge cut of the night, and it's the one where he was the least detestable. Nia Jax and technically Shayna Baszler took Reginald shopping. I'm not against segments like these, I liked where Fashion Files was, but this was essentially lifted entirely from the previous segment which featured Carmella and James Ellsworth doing this exact same thing. I don't know why Reginald's getting as much airtime as he is, especially when you consider he's getting a lot more airtime than Carmella, who surely he was there to put over. Cesaro had a rematch with Buddy Murphy, but it went absolutely no time at all. Seth Rollins attacked Cesaro from behind in the middle of the match, beat him down, and then on his way backstage, ran into Shinsuke Nakamura, who stood there doing nothing but looking threatening. That is an exciting tease, and I'm all over that. Sami Zayn approached Kevin Owens backstage, and Kevin Owens brushed him off. If this is the beginning of a build towards WrestleMania, I'll take it. I'll definitely take it, because both of these men need something to do at WrestleMania. Our second hour draw segment, which always features Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, was the Kevin Owens show featuring Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. This was another dick measuring contest, or whatever the female equivalent of that is, that was interrupted thankfully by Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, with Reginald of course in tow. Before they could cut any promo, Natalya and Tamina arrived for their match with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, and this was probably the most baffling moment of all when Tamina, who always gets a push around this time in the lead up to WrestleMania, pinned Bianca Belair, the winner of the Royal Rumble, in 4 minutes. Now admittedly they can always argue that Reginald was there, but no. Tamina pinned Bianca Belair. It's not a good look for anyone going into what should be a huge marquee SmackDown Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. To me, this looks like they are defining the match down so that people stop expecting it to main event tonight. Big E came out in a lot of medical gear, tore it off, and essentially wasted a lot of good money doing so. When Apollo Crews did not answer a challenge from Big E, a more serious Big E, because he has been told to be more serious now, basically because Booker T said so, we now move to a Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge. Baron Corbin came down in a nice suit. It was a night of nice suits. Seth Rollins also had a nice suit. And tried to cash in that open challenge, but Sami Zayn skipped past him and took the spot instead. Sami Zayn lost quite quickly. It was nearly a 10-minute match, but it was a bit more slow paced than I would like, and Baron Corbin just vanished in the commercial break. Afterwards, Big E getting the clean win. Apollo Crews did attack from behind, take Big E out, and then walk away. It was a night of beatdowns. The WWE would later confirm that we would see Big E versus Apollo Crews at Fastlane. Reginald suggested that Nia Jax should challenge Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship next week on SmackDown. I don't know why, but apparently she got it. Finally, we had a rapid fire contract signing between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Now, for this really very simple piece of storytelling, Daniel Bryan excelled. However, it got really overbooked near the end when Jey Uso started threatening Daniel Bryan. He essentially said to Daniel Bryan, we need to have a special guest enforcer and it'll be Jey Uso. Edge then came down, jumping on that to say, no, I should be the enforcer. And Adam Pearce said, no, let's have a match to decide who the enforcer is going to be next week on SmackDown. If the storyline is that Edge is a heel, they are definitely not going to do Roman Reigns versus Edge without Daniel Bryan there at WrestleMania. And Edge certainly looks like a heel here. To briefly touch on the news that came out yesterday, I did mention in my live stream, which happened on Twitch at 6 PM, that's on Friday, 6 PM UK time, 1 PM EST, that Andrade Cien Almas had requested his release and that the WWE were not planning to permit it. It came out a few hours later that the WWE had rejected that release. This is something that I really am disappointed to see. I feel Andrade could do great things elsewhere, but there is a concern within the WWE that if they start allowing releases, it might be a while before they stop. SmackDown this week was not a good show. There is a clear lack of storyline development, a lot of treading water, and some really nonsensical decisions. That said, the wrestling quality was good in the certain amount of longer matches, fixing the problem they had last week of everything lasting about 2 minutes. There are a number of people missing at the moment. Billy Kay, the Riot Squad really stand out as missing, but there are a number of others. Shinsuke Nakamura was briefly shown, but didn't step into the ring. Hopefully next week we have Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, or maybe that for Fastlane. With 1 week left, Fastlane is not together as much as it should be, and we'll only have 3 weeks after that to get to WrestleMania, with the WrestleMania card far from set in stone. The WWE need to get Fastlane out of the way and get their act together now. Let me know what you thought of SmackDown in the comments. I have been Tom Colohue. Please do remember to click like, please do remember to click subscribe, and remember that I do live watch-alongs on twitch.tv/Tom Colohue for every Raw and every SmackDown. Hopefully I will see you guys there in the near future. For now, thank you very much for watching.